Hey guys, Jeff here at MACkite.
And I'm Tucker.
And we've got the 2026 SLS float that we're going to dive into. My first takeaway from the new float, I didn't get in the waves, but I was some flat water. It drives upwind a bit better than last year's version. It feels very light in the hands, like you expect the float to be. Felt just a little bit more, initiate or feel the power more, initiate the power. I don't know if the canopy is a little stiffer. It just felt like it had a little bit more kind of oomph to it, which it's kind of nice here at flat water, light wind up and down. But obviously it kept all the great characteristics I love about the float. You know, it flags out well, feels smooth, very light in the hands, above the head. All in all, still one of my favorites. Can't wait to get it out in the waves a little bit, give it a whirl in the swell. But I have no doubt that it'll perform just well, exactly what it's designed for. But again, I think the 2026 has a little bit better upwind drive. This feels a little bit more stable when you want to push it in the speed. Again, we'll do a more thorough review here, Tuck and I, but I just want to give my first impressions.
Duotone does it again.
They do it again. Great wings. They've been building good wings right from the get-go. We saw quite a few of them here at the shop. Duotone, has their following. And float last year, that was their first year they came out with a float, I believe, last year.
Yeah.
And it became one of our shop favorites. And the key word there, float. It is a wing that's dedicated for wave riding. Should be a wing that feels like it floats behind you, doesn't get in your way. Very playful, and we're going to dive into what's changed, what did they do with this float, and I got some time last week in Florida to ride this wing.
World Traveler Jeff.
That's right, and I'm pretty excited to talk about what I like about the 2026 float. Already a great wing, and how'd they make it better, and I believe they did.
Yeah, so last year I really liked the float. But in the unit, the SLS construction was my favorite in testing. So naturally, I'm like, Duotone, give me an SLS float, man, because that would be the bee's knees.
They did it.
And they've done it, thankfully. Thank you, Duotone. Upgraded frame in the stiffer, lighter material here. We got the nano ripstop in the back two-thirds of the canopy, the lighter weight 2x3 ripstop in the front here, where there's less strain in the canopy. And man, this thing just added a little bit of zip, a little bit of snap, a little narrower frame. So taking the float and just put it in sport mode, put it one up a notch.
That's a great way to describe it. My first impressions, I got on this wing and I was like, first of all, it had, I believe, better low end than last year's float.
Yeah.
And this is hard to believe, but the high end, it seemed to drive upwind faster than the previous float.
Yep.
Now, those of you that are in the float, you're really into it for riding waves, downwind swell, riding your local break. But to have a wing in that category that feels like you can drive it upwind is pretty good. I'm gonna guess the reason why this drives upwind better than the first year's float is because of the SLS, because it's a narrower leading edge.
This whole section here is notably narrower and all the way through really, but yeah, stiffer. But look at this canopy. I mean, it's taut, it's tight. This thing is snappy. It's always in that flying position, so stable.
And that's
creating its own lift.
What I noticed. So I was able to get up in very light conditions with it. And once up with this wing, you were able to drive it a little more upwind. Last year's float, you have to let it breathe a little bit more.
Yep.
If you tried to drive it and push it up to go upwind, it would kind of backwind it a little bit on you.
Couldn't force last year's. Just kind of got to let it fly where it wants to fly.
Yeah. This one, it's kind of the float cranked up and a little more sporty. I was able to drive upwind with it a little bit better, a little less feedback in high conditions. Was able to get up on this in a lot of wind.
Yep. So you're gaining range, you're gaining upwind ability, top end speed.
It's kind of, those that like the slick, there is some characteristics there.
Yeah, that feels slippery.
Yeah, that they did with this wing. So it's a wing that you really get a lot out of it. Like I said, a low end, the high end, and you still get a wing that feels very light.
Nothing.
Yeah, and when you flag it out or put it up over your head, when I was doing some of my heel side, toe side tacks, it just floats right up over your head, comes around real easy. Yeah. I mean, I like to joke, if you like to do some ballet, acrobatics, and spins. And this thing just felt very light, playful, like I love about the float. And they, with that upwind drive now, I mean, wow, covered a lot of bases with this.
Yeah, going to the front here, your control arm, your control, it's pretty stiff, but it's also large enough where you can get in there and grab it pretty easily, grab it at a few different angles. And I think that adds to the stability that the wing itself provides because it's not undulating under your hand. Gives you real direct contact there. Coming into the boom, which I think is a great choice for this wing. It's lighter weight. You can grab it one-handed. Just sliding your hand anywhere along this thing while you're paying attention to the wave is just second nature. But what I like one of the most about the float itself is how close the pistol grip is to the leading edge.
To the front, yep.
Because the further back you get it, the more leverage you need to direct the wing. You want to pilot it from the front of the wing, almost here, but then be able to grab it quickly or be able to quickly choke up on it and give it some power one-handed. And just having it so far up here, it's a nice size. It's not too huge. It fits in your grip. It's light. I mean, it's just great. This whole connection is just, you feel like you're in the wing. Love it.
Solid, real solid. They have their battens too. They had those in last year as well.
Yep, replaceable battens. So if you do manage to break one, usually because you're being a little too aggressive when you're trying to pack it for travel or something, then they are replaceable. But yeah, just be cognizant of them. It won't be an issue. It does have the standard duotone 1-point inflation. You can clamp it off here. It has a 9mm dump valve here. So we'll get into that a bit more in the dislike section, but standard duotone stuff.
Yeah, I think overall, like the quality, the finish. Again, I think using the SLS material, the little smaller leading edge, the stiffness, just takes the float and just takes it up a notch when it comes to speed, drive, and performance. Again, really not what when you buy the float, you're about riding the waves, really, and feeling the float and not having it be in your way. But it is nice to be able to rip around on it and not sacrifice some of that drive.
Yeah, I feel like it's even better in the waves. But when you're not in the waves, and not everywhere is wavy all the time, no. It's more fun in Freeride, Freestyle, just dinking around, racing your buddies. In the past, I'd say, you could beer league race a float, but you're not winning anything.
No.
I feel like you could generally be competitive in like a beer league race with other people with average wings, in a recreational type race. So it's fun enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, and with this material though, it's stepping up in that range a lot better for sure. Because in the last year's previously float, when I tried to drive upwind, I was not going upwind as well as some other
the frame would flex a bit. Yep. It would backwind a little bit on itself if you push it too hard. Being stiffer, snappier, tighter canopy, you can it's a bit more solid, more, slicey, where it's not going to deform as much. So I'm a huge fan. That was the one thing I dug on, or didn't dig last year with the Float V1. Is it just, it was a great surf wing. But outside of that, it was just an okay wing.
Agree.
It was fun for Freeride or whatever, but it didn't really have any standout performance outside of waves.
And in defense of that, that's what the wing was made for.
Totally, and that's totally okay.
To be honest,
I liked it for that last year, but
for me,
freeriding, it was sort of bland.
It's a good segue. For me, with the float, I would say 4 or 5 is the largest, or 4 was the largest that I would have in my quiver, because usually it's when we have waves, it's windier. Mm-hmm. So in the smaller sizes, I'm okay with that because I'm really about getting me out to the waves, riding the waves, having a wing that feels effortless on the wave. With the SLS, what you have to consider, the price point. It's going to be about $250, $300 more once it's all said and done.
Yep.
And in my opinion, I think in the sizes like a 4 meter, 4.5 and above, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, personally. I agree. And I haven't ridden a smaller size yet, but I would say, for me, I tend to ride even more overpowered the windier it gets because our waves get bigger, the conditions get more treacherous. You don't want to get stuck without power. You're on smaller foils, smaller boards, you need more power. So for me, smaller sizes, sometimes it makes the most difference because you can do that and feel comfortable in those really chaotic conditions. But I think at the end of the day, I just want the SLS and everything because I like to ride powered. I like to push the speed a bit. I like that snappy, responsive, sporty feeling, and the SLS delivers it in spades. So.
And you do, the Freestyle Freeride, where this wing, I think, compared to last year's, is easier to engage and do. It's a little snappier, got a little more of that pocket of power, and I think you can get creative with it in the waves, where you place it and put it, and get yourself out of trouble real quick. This thing's going to have that feel. But yeah, in my personal opinion, I think the SLS, I haven't ridden their normal construction yet in the 2026. We just got this one sent to us. Again, we always appreciate Duotone, you getting us the demos, getting in the hands so we can get on and ride them. But I will do, I'd like to do a follow-up on how is this different than their new, the regular construction in the 2026. Did they take some of the design characteristics of this with their normal construction, and do we feel some of the same things?
Yeah, I believe they did. I don't think it's going to be as snappy, but I know they made some of the same refinements to the regular float. Yeah. So I think it's overall going to be an improvement in that wing. But if you're looking for that sporty behavior, hard to go wrong with this SLS. It's lighter, it's snappier, and really the upgrade is pretty palatable. It's not like going up to a D-Lab, where it's twice the price. Going up in an SLS, there's notable performance there. You can feel the reduction in weight. The quality of the materials is that much better. It lasts longer. So, it's a worthwhile upgrade in my opinion.
I would agree. And I think it also, you look at their other models, the unit, I prefer the unit in the SLS.
Yeah, same.
100% over their normal one.
Yeah, and even for me, the D-Lab. I mean, the D-Lab is great. It's super light. It's crazy stiff, but it's a little raw feeling in that model. And again, we haven't tried it in a float because they don't make it. But the float SLS, I mean, I have a hard time believing that I would need a D-Lab.
Agree. Any downsides?
So, broken record Tucker here. Every time I do a Duotone video, I'm going to harp on this until they change it. Their airport valve is the worst valve in the industry, hands down, period, in my opinion. It's finicky. It's prone to breaking. It requires a dedicated, only Duotone adapter that nobody else makes. Don't love it. The one pump system is whatever. It adds weight. It adds complexity. It adds cost. Don't love the 9mm dump valve because, especially in our cold conditions, these things get stuck in, get stuck out. If you're trying to dump this thing out the one pump, it takes forever. So as a cold water rider, it's a constant source of annoyance, in addition to their valve, which doesn't dump that quickly in the first place. So for me, put on an HP valve, a SUP style, high pressure inflation. It's proven, it's cheap, it's low profile. You can buy an adapter anywhere in the world. Most second generation pumps from any brand are going to include that with it and do one on the strut and the leading edge. It creates a duplicate safety system. So if you have a bladder issue or a blowout on one, then it saves the other for sake of flotation's sake, but also just the simplicity of the build and repair process. The more valves you add, the more weight it adds, the more fail points you have, the more expensive and difficult your repairs are going to be. So for me, 2-point inflation, it's only a leading edge and a strut. They're right here next to each other. It's not hard. And a lot of times you're going to want a different pressure for your leading edge versus your strut anyway, when you know what you're doing. So for me, guys, let's get on the same page. Let's go to a one valve system. 2-point inflation on wings. Kites are another story. There's 6 different valves you'd have to pump up on a kite. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Sure.
20 feet apart a lot of times. But on a wing, this is just something to break, something to fail, something to grab. Most of the people that are using this aren't going to remember to pinch that off for safety. Let's make it simpler. Let's make it cheaper. Let's make it more reliable.
I will say that when I first used this inflation system, I was very frustrated with it. You do get used to it. So you Duotone lovers out there that love this. We do have a few in the shop, one in particular.
I know people that are used to this valve. I don't know anyone that likes this valve. I know people that are absolute die-hard Duotone, ride or die people. They still want the valve changed.
But very important, and it's good to have that feedback. I would agree.
Yeah, constructive criticism.
The other thing, because I'll be straight up with you, I've sold these to some of my wingmates. They love the Duotone floats, the units, and when I ride their wings, which I did last week, I started to pull this out. He says, "Don't do that. don't pull that out. Please leave that in because it gets sand in there, and this is a point that fails over time if you always are in and out, push in and out with sand and stuff. So that's just a little.
Or if you're cold, you go to pull it out, you rip the tab off.
You can't put it
now
in.
you can't do it.
Cold water.
Or you rip the thing off the bladder entirely.
Yeah.
Because you have to reef on it so hard.
But I think we've done it. We're honest. I would agree. I do not like this in cold weather. It's very hard to get them in, extremely hard. But other than that, I guess we picked that apart pretty well.
Yeah, there's nothing else I would change with the wing.
No.
So it's awesome. They just need to update their valve.
And then they'd have perfection.
Then it'd be dang near perfection. It's hard to say perfection about anything nowadays, but I love this wing. It's a good one, and Duotone always does such a fantastic job with their entire lineup. It's hard to nitpick, but that's low-hanging fruit for sure.
Nope, I would agree with that too. So, again, a wing that we're excited about. The Float is one of my favorites. Some of the wings that we sell, just for its ability of, I guess the word float just says it all. So if you have any other questions about, is this worth the upgrade, give us a call, send us an email, a chat. We'd be happy to discuss further. Again, it's from Jeff here at MACkite.
And Tucker.
Enjoy this dope.
Dude, it's got pop. Like it's got like mousetrap. Pop. Sport mode. Sport mode. Float on sport mode.